Good afternoon, Justin O'Keefe from Talent Force Recruitment to continue our mission to help parents who are returning to work or simply looking for more family-friendly or flexible roles. Today we're going to look at the question in broad principles of the tax system and where you stand if you're returning to work or perhaps changing to more flexible roles. So first up, this is not meant to be accounting advice. Everyone's tax situation can be slightly different for a whole myriad of reasons, but this will give you some of the broad principles behind the tax system and where perhaps there's some opportunities and some challenges. So the first thing we would say is for your average couple, one spouse is working and one spouse is not working, revenue deem these people, if they're married or in a civil partnership, to be joint assessed. Okay, now for your average single person in Ireland, the 20% top tax rate finishes and the 40% tax rate kicks in at 36,500, meaning any earnings above 36,500 are taxed at the higher tax rate. Now, however, what revenue will allow a married or civil partnership couple to do is they will allow the non-working spouse to transfer 1,650, which is their unused personal tax credit. They will allow them to transfer from the non-working spouse to the working spouse, and what that means is that the 20% threshold for in a married or civil partnership, that threshold moves from 36,500 to 42,800, meaning that any earnings above 42,800 euros are now taxed at the 40% tax rate. Okay, so there's a direct transfer of this 1650 from one partner to the other. However, the opportunity lies in the fact that one partner isn't working, and what revenue will allow then is for the other spouse to earn 24,800 euros before the top tax rate kicks in. Now, this is a question we get asked frequently: is if I return to work, am I immediately going to hit the 40% tax rate? The answer is no. What revenue will allow you to do is the 20% tax rate will finish and you will be into a 40% tax band at 24,800. Now, one of the challenges is because you don't have certain credits, you will start paying tax at a lower amount, but effectively that 20% to 40% transition is 24,800. Actually, it's even perhaps more onerous than that, because at 24,800, every euro you earn above that, you actually end up paying 49% by the time you take USC and PRSI into account. So while some of your tax credits are left in here, perhaps with a higher wage earner, and your marginal rate, your percentage rate is actually quite low relative to the single, it's questionable whether it's worth earning an awful lot more than this, because the tax burden is so steep. Okay, so that higher tax rate is kicking in so much more quicker. So returning to work can cause a lot of financial issues around, I need a car, I need childcare, I need new arrangements. But up to 24,800, you're at the lower tax rate, and then you transition to the higher tax rate. I hope this helps. Feel free to ask us any questions. My email is justin@talentforce.ie, or email julie@talentforce.ie, or give us a call 019081514, and I'll include the link to the Irish Times article below this video. Thanks for your time. Take care. Bye-bye.